Welcome to the silence followed by a deafening roar, guitar, instructional DVD, and shred annex. Silence followed by a deafening roar is the name of the CD, and it's also the name of this song. And this title obligated me to try to find something that would be a deafening roar. I decided the best way to do it might be to use a bow, like you'd use on a violin or a cello. And all I'm doing is playing the low E string on the F sharp note, 14th fret, and pulling up on it slowly, bending it, and then bowing it at the same time. So after the monstrous, deafening roar comes a heavy metal riff that I liked in the key of C sharp. It sounds like this. This is an instrumental song on an instrumental album. So I have a lot of room for a lot of guitar, and I want to slowly build it up in this case. Of course, I'm beginning with a rhythm, that kind of phrase. And when I begin the solo, I do a variation of that an octave higher. So it's kind of a melodic version. From there, I start to get a little more shreddy, let's say, with some 16th notes. This is kind of a nice pattern. It still locks into the rhythm pretty well, and it sounds like this. So this is one of my favorite ways of playing arpeggios, where I'm doing string skipping, like that. I'm not using the B string. I'm doing 2 notes on the E, 2 notes on the G, and then 1 note here on the D string. I follow that with a scale pattern, just ascending. That's C sharp minor, C sharp natural minor. Starting here, 3 notes per string. And that leads us rhythmically and melodically back to our first lick. So it sounds like. I like that. I'm contrasting an arpeggio with a scale, so you can kind of, each one complements the other. From there, instead of doing an ascending scale, I do a descending scale in between the arpeggios. Yeah, now let's get up to speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. From there, I do a rock and roll lick. I think Kiss used to play this a lot. That kind of lick. I can't do that without making some rock and roll faces. I love that one. So the main chords of the song are these 4 chords. Let me play them one note at a time so you make sure you got them. I just play those quietly by finger picking at the beginning. And then in the middle of the song with the big climax, I use two-handed technique to play the same notes. Sounds like this. So let me show that to you a little bit slower. On the high E string, you have these notes. Louder. Then on the B string, big stretch. Then a little smaller stretch, still on the B string. And back to the high E string. And 1, 2, 3. There you have it. This is the Eudaimonia Overture. It has a lot of parts, and they're all kind of different from each other, but at least they're in the same tempo and mostly in the same key, which is why I put them together, and I like the way they flow. At the beginning of the song, we have this crazy two-handed thing. It's actually much easier to play than it sounds. I'm using a lot of the same frets, which is why it's easier to play. The 12th fret, I believe this is the 17th fret, so a little bit of a stretch there. And then the 19th with a tap. So as tapping licks go, that's relatively easy. And I just do that on each set of strings. Well, there's the first 4. And then I repeat the top 2, so it would be. And it looks kind of good because you're stretching and you'll lean over your guitar. Then at the end, I hit those same frets on the top strings. So altogether, you can see how that comes together. So it's kind of amazing. I can't believe it sounds like that because it's really pretty easy to play as long as you can get that stretch happening. The next part are these arpeggiated chords. I'm just going to play through them slowly so you can hear them. The important thing here is actually the bass note is changing underneath. So I hope you can hear the song and the record so you know the context of what's happening with the bass note. But here's how it sounds a little bit slower. So it took me a long time to memorize that, but once you get it down, it's not that technically difficult to play, and it's a lot of fun to play that with a band because you're just getting these great, solid arpeggio patterns that, you know, they're not super fast, but they're locked in and they're driving. You know, it's 1, 2, 3. So that kind of rocks. Another part of the Eudaimonia Overture that I want to show you is a picking part. It sounds like this. The thing I like about this is that the rhythm goes between 1 speed and double the speed, and the transitions have to be really accurate. You can't, you know, slowly speed up. You've got to be like a drummer going, and that to me drives it. And it's a great exercise for your picking as well. So let me demonstrate it one more time, and I want you to listen to that rhythm, that. So that's all it is. It's all 3-note per string shapes. So you've got 3 notes on a string. And then the faster ones are 3-note per string as well. Next one. These are all in the key of E minor, by the way, just starting on different steps of the scale. And then the last one. Let's see if I can do it up to speed. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. The last part of the Eudaimonia Overture is actually a Bach piano piece that I learned on the guitar. And I like to learn these to warm up my hands and also to warm up my brain before I begin an album project. So a lot of the records that I do, the very first step of making the record or writing is to learn one of these Bach pieces. It sort of gets the juices flowing. So I want to show you the beginning of this because I think the techniques are relatively easy to play and they sound great. It sounds like this. Just that much. You can hear rhythmically a lot of the same things are going on. It's going ba-da-da, 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 ba-da-da. If you were playing drums, it'd be tika-tika-tika-tika-tika-tika. You can hear the accents. You know, it's easy to do with your mouth. So let's make our fingers do that same thing. The technique I'm using is string skipping with a fair amount of hammer-ons and pull-offs to give me that kind of pulse. The ba-da-da, 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 ba-da-da. I'll play through the whole thing slowly, and I'll include some tablature so you can, if you really want to, you can learn the whole thing. Here's the whole thing slowly. And then the fast version. The Rhino is a heavy metal blues song. It's got a big metal sound, but the chords are almost kind of a blues progression, and I suppose maybe the most interesting guitar thing in the song is the fast picking part that sounds something like this. Let me slow it down for you so you can see what I'm doing. It sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's in the key of E major, and it's 16th notes, and if you can, accent the first one. So those accents will help you lock in with the groove and with the drummer. Now the other challenge is, as you begin to use more distortion, and as you play this faster, you have to make it more staccato by muting, and probably by playing lighter, because that way the notes won't get too big and there'll be room for all of them, because it's going pretty quick. So you really just want like a light scratch. Norwegian Cowbell is a song that of course has cowbell in it, but it also has electric guitar. Now, most of the techniques I'm using on this are the same. I'm using a lot of this technique, that kind of thing. It's got, let's see, 2 notes per string on the E string, 2 notes per string on the G string, and 1 note per string on the D. To give me that D major triad, which outlines the chord. But of course, this song has a lot more chords than that. It's got full arm extension if you can. Sounds better, looks better. So we want to outline all those chords. Basically, I'm using that technique I showed you to do almost all of it. Occasionally I have to go to different positions to get either chord changes or what's that called? Inversions, that's it. And the only other thing that's tricky in this, what I would say would be, sometimes I'm doing an arpeggio on one string by sliding, like I do an A major. And the other probably different technique in this is when I'm doing the C major arpeggio. Now this appears to be very simple, just those 3 notes. But I'm going to do it in octaves. So it's starting on the same note. This is a G. Here's a G here. So let's put them together. And then go back up. And even higher. Now I'm doing a lot of pull-offs, so the picking isn't that bad, because I can just do an up, a pull-off, and a down. Each time. So I'm basically going da 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 da. That's the picking. So let's see, hear that in context. So I'm going like. Well, it's sort of in the middle of everything, but that's the one other technique that's different than the usual. And that allows you to do a long group of arpeggios that outline chords very nicely. I Cannot Tell a Lie is one of my favorite songs to play on the record. It's almost a ballad and has these beautiful chords. The first chord is actually an A chord, but I added a B note to it. I suppose that's the ninth. And then I made it a first inversion. I put the third in the bass. So that's the first chord, then a D chord with a ninth in it as well. Then an E sus, dominant sus I guess it would be. Regular E major. Very simple chords, but the trick is to come up with a melody that keeps the listener's interest over that whole thing. And I tried to have something that had some rhythmic and melodic variation, some nice vibrato, and some crying tones. So that's what I did. One of the most important things with this is that you're able to stop. Again, being a heavy metal guitar player, I've had a guitar sound most of my life where I can't stop. There's always so much distortion. Your guitar is feeding back and howling and making noises, and I wanted to get a little less distortion and get a sound where I can actually stop. Listen, relative quiet. And there's not a big howling sound. And that really takes the panic away. There's a certain amount of panic in playing electric guitar. And then, oh my God, I gotta control this thing that's going, you know, taking off and potentially making all this noise. So it's kind of a nice experience to have a sound that's where you crank it or have it back just a little bit. I'm actually, in this case, I'm getting a lot of distortion from the power amp tubes, which tend to be a little more percussive and not getting, you know, it's not taking off with all that hiss and feedback. It's just a nice, pure, strong tone, and I can actually stop and phrase. So most of the song is slow enough where it's not a matter of having a lot of shred technique to play it. It's more, you want to have good vibrato, your bends have to be very in tune, and the sliding is important too. You know, when I slide into, I want to make sure that the slide is nice sounding. So I'm going to show you the short shred part in it, because maybe that's the part that's not as obvious as far as fingering goes. There's a two-handed part. Let's see, it's coming out of something like, I'm doing sort of a chord thing. And then from here. So maybe that's one of the more shreddy parts. I'll show it to you slowly. The first two-handed part are these notes. It's with the left hand and with the right hand, D and E. So the pattern is like this. Let's loop that over and over again. From there, it actually gets simpler. The next two, it's only three notes. Here's the next one. And a big stretch. And the last one, just up a half step. So pretty much all the same pattern, just the frets are changing. Then I've got this lick that's a pull-off lick. It's kind of F-sharp minor sounding. G major sounding, same kind of lick. The pull-off is really driving the lick. The picking is very simple. I'm just picking once per string. the last one, the big stretch to get that E major sound. Let's put that all together. This song is called Bronx 1971. It is very funky, and it is in the key of B flat. And B flat is a key that most guitar players do not want to use, including me, but I decided to look there to see if it had anything to offer that I liked. As it turned out, there is something cool about B flat, and that is that if you play a B flat blues scale, the E note is the tritone. It's that kind of evil, dark note. And of course, E is also a big open string on the guitar. So you can use that in your composition, which is just what I did when I wrote the riff. The riff is in B flat, but I started with an E note. And that's the rhythm I got. Those two answer parts, the first one is a, let's see, it's a B flat, dominant 9 chord. And I never knew this chord until I went to school. I used to hear it all the time, and I never knew what it was. It's almost all funk songs. A good funky chord, and I used it as an answer. And then played the riff again. And had a little funky thing there. I don't even know what these are yet. They're so simple. And they're just a bar on the 6th fret, and up to the 8th and back down. Now this part I really like, the because it has a cool rhythm to it. You could play that on a drum set without any notes and just have and it's going to have a cool feel to it. But of course, with some notes, it has even more of a character. So let's hear those notes again. And one more time. Of course, once again, you have to have a sound that allows you to have those little pauses. You don't want a big hum and going on between. So crank the distortion back a little bit, crank the volume up, and then go. That's a great lick. It doesn't take a lot of technique to play that, but it is some brain work, because it's, first of all, you're in B flat, and second of all, the intervals that I chose you know, they aren't that obvious. To me, they sound good. They're obvious to the ear, but they're not obvious to the fingers if you haven't played it before. So work that out with metronome. They're very useful notes. It's a good pattern. And I have to say that I've really had a good time trying to play in B flat, because it's made me, you know, it's just a brain challenge trying to play in B flat, not just here. You know, if you're a guitar player, you know that if you're playing in B flat, your hand's going to go there, and that this is all going to kind of be mysterious up here. So I've been trying to work through the mystery and find out, like, where is B flat? Well, in this section. And that's very rewarding. I have a lot of fun doing that, and I hope you do too. It really helps also to use a groove. This song has a really fun groove to improvise over, and I found I'll just sit there at, you know, my hotel room or at home and get that going and start jamming along in B flat in places I'm not familiar, so I might get a couple notes wrong, but we'll see. So I love doing that. I love playing with a rhythm. I love a little bit of brain challenge from Funny Key, and I love the phone call. The Gargoyle is a heavy metal song in the key of E minor. I want to show you the main riff, which sounds like this. This is a great picking exercise. It's all alternate picking, which means down, up, down, up, down, up, never changes. And the thing to focus on, E is the lowest note. You've got these other high notes that are going back and forth to the E. And those, it's easier to figure them out because you know you're always doing down, up, down, up, down, up. But it helps to be aware in your brain of what the strokes are of those other notes. So I'm going to tell you what they are. The first one is going to be an up. There's a down on the A. And the B is an upstroke. So those accents end up being up, down, up. And it's good to just have that in this little thinking part of your brain. You know, the feeling part of your brain can be on full metal, you know, full metal force. But the thinking part of your brain should be aware that that's up, down, up. And then you follow that by the descending scale, beginning with an upstroke. There's an up, and that goes down. Back down to the root. Right now when I'm playing that, I'm playing it with a cleaner sound, so I tend to attack it a little harder. And that gives me a good technique to work with too, but of course, when I play it with distortion, I play a little bit lighter, but still with a lot of confidence. At the very end of the gargoyle, I do sort of a jazz fusion-y line that I came up with. It has some diminished things in it. Those are easy to remember because they're all the same fingering and they're all 3 frets apart from each other. The fingering is basically this. It's just 3 frets, and then I skip the G string. I don't play the G string, go right to the B string. Same frets. 14 and 17. And that happens 3 frets down, 3 frets down, 3 frets down. That's all of them. To make this into the line, I added some notes on top from either the Dorian scale or the blues scale. Those are good ones to choose if you want a fusion-y kind of sound. So, it's from Dorian, Dorian as well, Dorian again, and finally blues. That little blues note in there. And then I do some pull-offs at the end to get out of it. So let's put it all together. It's pretty a symmetrical kind of line. And let's do it once fast. Bultaco Saturno is actually the name of a Spanish motorcycle, but I decided to also use it as the title for this funk rock kind of song in the key of F. Why did I choose F? F is a key that most guitar players avoid, and I decided I wanted to see what F had that was good about it, and I found this. I found if I played F, I could use the E below and get that. I like that. That sounds kind of cool. So that, and I wanted to have a lot of interesting rhythms in this song. So before I even added the notes, I just thought of the rhythm. In this case, it was bup 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 da 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 da, something like that. So I added notes to it in the key of F. 1, 2, 3. So that's the main riff. I also have a beginning part that's quiet. So I want to show you the fast part of that. It's one of my favorite licks, and it's sort of an important part of a lot of my playing. I'm going to slow it down. It's in F pentatonic. A lot of descending threes. By three, I mean 3 notes. Starting on the next lowest note, next lowest, and so on. So here it is again slow. And then I start on the B string. All together. That I kind of like. It's a very simple pull-off lick in F minor pentatonic once again, and then I hit 2 notes from the blues scale to answer it, and then I hit those same 2 notes an octave lower. So it's sort of a lick in 2 parts. It's a conversational lick. It's talking to itself. In the middle of the song, I do that same kind of idea, but expand on it. This would be in the guitar, in the improvised guitar solo, and I start adding even more notes to alternate with that pull-up. Altogether, we might have something like this. Let's take that a couple times over and over. That's a cool lick that's gonna loop well. 1, 2, 3. This song is called Paul versus Godzilla, and I suppose in this case Godzilla would be my flanger, which makes this crazy sound. I just use this to trigger it, because the flanger by itself doesn't make any noise, but if you hit it or sustain, it makes that crazy sound. So that's a lot of fun. And then I made a riff in the key of G sharp. And again, G sharp's sort of an odd key. Why did I use that? The open strings, I found I could make some kind of cool chords. These would be the chords. It's resolved nicely to G sharp. So I used that in the tune. And let me show you the beginning riff It's pretty simple, but I like it. It's a lot of fun to play. And it's a lot of fun to play with big right-hand motions. When I play this intro part, I can't resist doing a full arm extension. And it just feels better and rocks harder when you put your arm all the way down there. Those two I try to get. It just looks good, it feels good, and I'm almost sure it sounds good. One of the things that I enjoy the most about Paul vs. Godzilla is the melody, which I wrote by putting the guitar down, and I got out a vocal mic, and I sat there and sang along with the backing track as if my voice was a guitar. And I spent about a half an hour just singing and singing and singing and coming up with every idea I could. It's a very intuitive way to write, because you're not limited or influenced by your knowledge and your vocabulary of the guitar. You know, even if you're an advanced guitar player, you tend to be pulled towards the licks that you know. And in this case, I wanted to write something completely, not necessarily different, I just wanted to write something that was natural, straight from my brain, straight from my heart, without the influence of the instrument. So that's what I did. I just recorded this part. And then I started to sing over that. And I'm going to sing you what I came up with. It's not going to sound that good because I got to use falsetto to hit the high notes, and I haven't practiced singing it. But it was good enough as a writing tool to get it across. So again, this is the key. And I wrote something like this with my voice. So it was like 1, 2, 3. You know, and a real singer might be able to make that sound good, but I'm not that good of a singer, so I needed my guitar to save me. So I recorded that, and then I went back and learned it. The cool thing was, it used a lot of fingerings and techniques that I might not have, or I definitely wouldn't have come across otherwise. First of all, because I'm a G sharp, and I'm lost in G sharp. And so I sat down, and this is what I learned. This is the guitar version of that vocal line. So 1, 2, 3. So now I really want to work on some things that are going to help you play more musically, especially with your soloing. One thing that really helps guitar players play musically is phrasing. You don't need a lot of technique or notes to phrase well. You just need a good sense of time and a good sense of almost drama, your musical drama. Some people seem to have this intuitively. I don't know if I do, because I've played fast a lot of my life to avoid it. But as I slow down, it becomes obvious that I need to insert better phrasing to make the slower playing sound cool and sound powerful. So I've been working on that a lot lately, and one of the techniques that I have is to simulate a guitar jam just with one person. And if you have somebody to jam with, that helps even more. But I'm going to do it right now just by myself. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be me here, and I'm going to play a solo in this kind of groove. And then I'll go over here. I'm in C minor, by the way. And this will be the other guitar player answering back. And what I want you to listen for as I play, I'm just going to improvise, but the end of each line is going to be the cue for what the next guy should start with. So in other words, my ending is his beginning. And let me try to demonstrate that now with going back and forth. And again, make sure you listen with your ears to the ending of the line and the beginning of the line, because they're either going to be the same or very close to one another. So here we go. 1, 2 in C minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I hope you get the idea of what I was doing there by listening. Now, of course, if you're playing with another guitar player or really any other musician, that really takes the load off your brain, because instead of sitting there waiting for them to finish, thinking through your whole vocabulary of what am I going to play next, what am I going to play next, you can relax, you can listen to them, and whatever they play last, just play that, and, to start off, and it makes almost more of it makes a conversation more than a battle. You're not really like battling, like I've got these licks and I've got these licks. Instead you're conversing. The two things are building together, and it really feels good. So please try that with another guitar player, or if you can't find anybody, you can even do it with yourself, and it will help your solos really connect, stay together, feel good, and phrase better. It's time for some fast picking. And my goal today is to not only pick fast, but to find a way to get into it and out of it smoothly. Otherwise, you can't use it in your song. So I'm going to give you an exercise that's going to allow you to do some, first of all, the ending of a fast pick lick. Let me show you the lick first. It's very simple. It goes like this. And I'm using some notes out of the A blues scale. Picking every note, beginning with an upstroke. Now, once we get locked into this lick, we got to find a way to get out of it. So what I want to do it maybe many times. That's, I think, 3 times, and then the last one leads to a bend. So that's the way we can get out. It's a nice controlled end. Let's try it up here too. The same exact lick, but on the 8th fret. And same kind of bend. And we'll put them together. And let's add one more up here on the 12th fret. This one isn't chromatic. More like a natural minor sound. I'm going to end that with a bend as well. So let's put all those 3 together, and I'll count it off and try to hear how they're in time with, and I can escape from each one. So 1, 2. Now this time I'm going to play it again, but I'm going to do even shorter spaces. So I'll go like something like that to end it. So let's try that. I'll do it a little slower. All right. So. And up to tempo. 1, 2. So that way you have some fast picking, but it's actually going to fit in a groove and give your brain and fingers a little time to rest in between. So it's good every way around. All right, I want to show you a really effective exercise for the left hand. It's going to help you build your legato technique and be useful in a lot of licks. Now this is so simple that you might get bored initially, but really try it. It's really going to be good for you. And here it is what it is. It's 2 notes, A and C. And I'm just going to play 8th notes, and then I'm going to follow it by 16th notes back and forth. So the important thing is to get the transition really, really clear. You want 8th notes and then 16th notes, so like this. Now you can tap your foot, you can use a metronome, but the important thing here is to have a strong pull-off and to stay dead in time. It's not an exercise to see how fast you can go, it's an exercise to see how accurately you can train your hands to do that pull-off between two different speeds. You know, they're basically, you're going 1 speed and then you're going double that speed. You know? So if you sped it up a little bit, you go. And all the fast pull-off licks that I do, you will use that kind of technique at some point, you know, to go like. And I'll show you how easily the simple lick translates into that more complicated one that I just played. So let's start with this. You know this already. Let's take the last note and put it on a different string. So we'll go. And we'll go down to the B string instead. And because we're changing strings, this time we've got a pick. So I think, yeah, I'm going to do an up and then a down. All right, so let's start to speed that up. It's a simple lick, so we can do it fast. And for all this, whenever I've got a picking lick, I'm going to take my left hand away and demonstrate what just the picking by itself sounds like. So with this particular lick, so again, watch my right hand and you'll see how nothing is changing. I'm just taking my left hand on and off. So this is pretty simple. But it's got to be dead on time, you know. All right, the next one sounds like this. I'm going to slow that down. It's an upstroke followed by 2 downstrokes with a pull-off in the middle. The picking by itself, I'll demonstrate again. I'll do the lick with the left hand and without. And I'll alternate back and forth and just watch my right hand and you'll see how it doesn't change. So again, the important thing is the rhythm. The ba-do, ba-da-do, ga-da-do, ga-da-do. All right, so now basically we've got 2 licks. We've got this one, and we've got this one. Let's put them together. And do it over and over again, like a loop. Now let's try that on each set of strings within the A minor pentatonic scale. So next we're going to go down to these. And the next set. And the next set. Super slow. And all together. Now my left hand really isn't doing much more than going. Sometimes it has to change to a different string, sometimes it might have to use a different finger to get a different fret, but the basic technique, the motor that's driving it all, is this. So it's important to have that muscle there to drive that. So that's a good phrasing lick, and it all begins with. So do it. All right, I want to show you some new arpeggio ideas I've been working on. First of all, I hope you know what a triad is. It's basically 3 notes. In this case, I'm going to play an E minor. And the triad notes are the root, the third, and the 5th. And of course, they can be in any octave. So those triad notes can happen everywhere. Regardless of fingering, it can be a sweep pick, it can be a string skip, it can be all on one string. Those are all triads because you're only using the notes E, G, and B, the root, the third, and the 5th. So what I want to do with this arpeggio is instead of going 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, just around in octaves, which would sound like this, or with a sweep pick, those are all sort of in the same order. I want to mix up the order a little bit. I want to skip the third, go straight to the 5th. So I'm going to go 1, 5. Now that's a nice shape because it's just like a power chord. Then I'm going to start on the next highest triad note, which would be the third. And normally you'd go like 3, 5, and then start over with the 1. But I'm going to skip the middle note and go straight to the 1 from the 3. So this is, again, getting into math. Let me play it for you, and your ear will pick up the pattern immediately. Here's what it sounds like. Yeah. So it spreads the triad out a little bit more with wider interval stretches because you're always taking that middle triad note out. Now, technique-wise, this isn't that bad because you're just doing like little 2-note chords. To me, it's more of a brain challenge to remember where to put your fingers with all these because the positions change very quickly. So a good way to practice this is just take the first 2. Just go like, those are the first 2 shapes. Just go back and forth. Then maybe add the next one. Do the first shape, the second shape, and the third shape. So and add the 4th shape. Just keep adding them on. Keep on adding one from that. You can even start in the middle sometimes, like. As far as rhythmic phrasing, you can't play these as fast as a sweep pick lick. They're not as efficiently fingered, but the sound is still great, and I like them as triplets. So if you do like triplet, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this idea, this phrasing idea, isn't limited to triads. You know, you could try other notes. And because I play rock and roll, I wanted to try using some notes from the blues scale. So I took an E blues scale, and I decided to take the fourth out. The fourth is the A note. It's just not the most interesting note. It's not bad, I don't mind the fourth, but in the blues scale, if I skip it, it's a little more sinister somehow. So I took those notes, and I did the same thing where I skipped around, took every other one. Let me play it for you so your ear can get it. So, let's see. And I like that. It's a cool little selection of notes. You can hear how its phrase is very similar to the triad one, but this is more of a blues sound. Another one you can do is using the notes from Dorian. Now, of course, the whole Dorian scale has a lot of notes, you know. So I just want to pick my favorite ones, which in this case are the root, the minor third, the major sixth, which really gives Dorian its flavor, and the minor seventh. It's already feeling soulful. But I'm going to mix up the notes in an arpeggiated kind of way, and here's what you get when you do that. That's a nice phrase. In another position, you might get this. I picked this one because it's a little bit easier to play. The range isn't quite as wide, but to me, easy to play is important. So I do that one a lot. And again, because the note choice is interesting, you don't have to play these super fast to make them cool. You know, you can even play, they're doing a groove like this. Going to get a slower thing, but it still rocks. Welcome to the Shred Annex. No philosophy, no phrasing, none of that slow stuff. This is all fast, every fast lick I can think of. One in every key, starting on E and going chromatically up. I've got a lick for every one, and it's a fast lick always. Besides that, each lick I play fast first, then I do a slow version so you can figure it out, then I do it fast again. They're all explained in great detail. If you look at the tablature that comes with this DVD, print it out, have a look. It's got all the upstrokes and downstroke details, hammer-on pull-offs, so you know exactly what I'm doing in the most acute detail. And that's it. Enjoy the Shred Annex. Slow. Almost. Here we go. Love it. Ta-da. At the end, you've got to let it all loose. And thank you so much for watching The Silence followed by a Deafening Roar DVD today. Have a great time with your electric guitar. Keep playing and never stop. You can do it until you're 1,000,000 years old. And enjoy it. It's such a great instrument. Do bends, do fast licks, do chords, do phrases, do everything you can. Play with other people. And if you can, learn one new thing every day. And that will bring you up the ladder of more and more beautiful and fabulous and dynamic and exciting music. I'm out of adjectives. We'll see you again. Thank you so much. This is Paul Gilbert. Bye-bye. Sayonara. 1, 2, 3. Time. Of course, once again, you have to have a sound that allows you to have those little pauses. You don't want a big hum and going on between. So crank the distortion back a little bit, crank the volume up, and then go. That's a great lick. It doesn't take a lot of technique to play that, but it is some brain work because it's, first of all, you're in B flat, and second of all, the intervals that I chose, you know, they aren't that obvious. To me, they sound good. They're obvious to the ear, but they're not obvious to the fingers if you haven't played it before. So work that out with the metronome. They're very useful notes. It's a good pattern. And I have to say that I've really had a good time trying to play in B flat because it's made me, you know, it's just a brain challenge trying to play in B flat, not just here. You know, if you're a guitar player, you know that if you're playing in B flat, your hand's going to go there, and that this is all going to kind of be mysterious up here. So I've been trying to work through the mystery and find out, like, where is B flat? You know, in this section, and that's very rewarding. So I have a lot of fun doing that, and I hope you do too. It really helps also to use a groove. This song has a really fun groove to improvise over, and I found I'll just sit there, you know, in my hotel room or at home and get that going, start jamming along in B flat in places I'm not familiar, so I might get a couple notes wrong, but we'll see. So I love doing that. I love playing with a rhythm. I love a little bit of brain challenge from Funny Key, and I love the phone call. The Gargoyle is a heavy metal song in the key of E minor. I want to show you the main riff, which sounds like this. This is a great picking exercise. It's all alternate picking, which means down, up, down, up, down, up, never changes. And the thing to focus on, E is the lowest note. You've got these other high notes that are going back and forth to the E. And those, it's easier to figure them out because you know you're always doing down, up, down, up, down, up. But it helps to be aware in your brain of what the strokes are of those other notes. So I'm going to tell you what they are. The first one is going to be an up. There's a down on the A. And the B is an upstroke. So those accents end up being up, down, up. And it's good to just have that in this little thinking part of your brain. You know, the feeling part of your brain can be on full metal, you know, full metal force. But the thinking part of your brain should be aware that that's up, down, up. And then you follow that by the descending scale, beginning with an upstroke. There's an up, and that goes down. Back down to the root. Right now when I'm playing that, I'm playing it with a cleaner sound, so I tend to attack it a little harder. And that gives me a good technique to work with too, but of course, when I play it with distortion, I play a little bit lighter, but still with a lot of confidence. At the very end of the gargoyle, I do sort of a jazz fusion-y line that I came up with. It has some diminished things in it. Those are easy to remember because they're all the same fingering and they're all 3 frets apart from each other. The fingering is basically this. It's just 3 frets, and then I skip the G string. I don't play the G string, go right to the B string. Same frets. 14 and 17. And that happens 3 frets down, 3 frets down, 3 frets down. That's all of them. To make this into the line, I added some notes on top from either the Dorian scale or the blues scale. Those are good ones to choose if you want a fusion-y kind of sound. So, it's from Dorian, Dorian as well, Dorian again, and finally blues. That little blues note in there. And then I do some pull-ups at the end to get out of it. So let's put it all together. It's pretty a symmetrical kind of line. And let's do it once fast. Bultaco Saturno is actually the name of a Spanish motorcycle, but I decided to also use it as the title for this funk rock kind of song in the key of F. Why did I choose F? F is a key that most guitar players avoid, and I decided I wanted to see what F had that was good about it, and I found this. I found if I played F, I could use the E below and get that. I like that. That sounds kind of cool. So that, and I wanted to have a lot of interesting rhythms in this song. So before I even added the notes, I just thought of the rhythm. In this case, it was but da 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 da, something like that. So I added notes to it in the key of F. 1, 2, 3. So that's the main riff. I also have a beginning part that's quiet. So I want to show you the fast part of that. It's one of my favorite licks, and it's sort of an important part of a lot of my playing. I'm going to slow it down. It's in F pentatonic. A lot of descending threes. By three, I mean 3 notes, starting on the next lowest note, next lowest, and so on. So here it is again slow. And then I start on the B string. All together. That I kind of like. It's a very simple pull-off lick in F minor pentatonic once again, and then I hit 2 notes from the blues scale to answer it, and then I hit those same 2 notes an octave lower. So it's sort of a lick in 2 parts. It's a conversational lick. It's talking to itself. In the middle of the song, I do that same kind of idea, but expand on it. This would be in the improvised guitar solo, and I start adding even more notes to alternate with that pull-up. Altogether, we might have something like this. Let's take that a couple times over and over. That's a cool lick that's gonna loop well. 1, 2, 3.